together like frightened geese. All but two were men. Some faces were young. Most were old. They smelled of stale smoke and the shivering sweat stink of fresh fear. "Do not be concerned," I said to the servants in English as I descended the stairs. "It sounds as though we have a few drunken robbers attempting a raid." I looked at each face in turn. "We must suppose that they do not know who is the lord here. If they know this is the manor house of Sir Richard of Ashbury, then they are desperate outlaws indeed, are they not?" I was never particularly gifted when it came to levity. A few of them chuckled, but they were nervous. Everyone in Ashbury remembered the attack on the manor house 25 years earlier, when the lord, his family, and almost all the servants had been slaughtered in the night by William de Ferrers and his knights. The lord back then had been my brother Henry. My half-brother, as I had discovered, although no one in Ashbury knew I was a bastard. So they feared the Ashbury family curse had returned. A few of the people before me had lost family of their own in that same attack. A huge blow from the fellows pounding and hacking on the door shook the timbers again. A couple of servants jumped, startled at the sound. They had been woken from where they slept in the hall, were shivering in thin shifts and undergarments under their cloaks or blankets. Most were ashen-faced in the candlelight. Yet old Cuthbert, my faithful sour-faced steward, clutched a splitting axe to his chest and had his ancient iron helm jammed down upon his narrow head. Others had grabbed their spears. Those without true weapons had their daggers in their hands, even the women who clutched tight to their husbands. "Look at you all," I said. "You brave souls would strike terror into any man who broke in here. I could almost pity them. Perhaps we should pray for them. What do you say?" The pounding continued. There was a crack as one of the door timbers split. Jocelyn pushed past me and through the servants and strode into the hall, calling to his squire, Anselm. "They must be hungry indeed to attempt such an attack as this," I said to my servants, speaking lightly. "We must ensure we give them a proper welcome. Cuthbert, see that the hearth fire is started. Light plenty of lamps and candles and have them placed throughout the hall, especially by the door. Do so as quickly as you can, and then wait together at the back of the hall where I can see you all." "Yes, my lord," old Cuthbert said, and turned to the others, his weasel face pinched with concern. "Right then, you heard the lord. Let's prepare for visitors." He snapped out orders like a veteran commander, so I left him to it and followed Jocelyn into the darkness of my hall. At the far end was Jocelyn's squire, Anselm, who was 16 years old and full to the brim with a powerful sense of duty. Anselm held a lamp aloft, casting a faint ring of yellow light around him and Jocelyn. "Your shield," Jocelyn said, and generously held it for me while I threaded my arm into the strap. It was kite-shaped, with a flat top. Jocelyn favoured the old-fashioned sort, with the longer, tapered shape, like a beech leaf, to better protect his left leg when on horseback. "Shall I bring your hauberks, my lords?" Anselm asked, his eyes wide in the torchlight. The lad was, strictly speaking, Sir Jocelyn's squire alone, but the boy was performing double duty. I decided I had to hurry up and accept a new squire. It was not fair on Anselm to look after two knights. The door thudded and cracked again. There were angry voices outside, beyond the door. Likely it was no more than 2 or 3 men, I thought. I could hear no other voices through the timber walls to either side of the hall. The axe blade on the other side squeaked as it was wiggled from the cleft it had gouged into my door. "We have plenty of time to put on our hauberks, Richard," Jocelyn said, seeing my hesitation. "They would need an army with a battering ram to break down that ridiculous door." My servants busied themselves behind me, whispering to each other as they lit lamps and tallow candles. Few of them understood French well enough to know what Jocelyn was saying. "No need for us to be armoured," I said, loudly and in English for my servants' benefit. "It is no more than a handful of desperate peasants. We could deal with them in our underwear." Jocelyn looked unconvinced. Of course, he was quite right. I was being an arrogant fool, as usual. The door shuddered again. The reinforced frame shook. "He's strong," I said appreciatively. Jocelyn grunted. "Still take them forever to get through it. What are we going to do with ourselves until then?" It was light enough in the hall to see by.